Okay, perfect. Well, thank you all for joining us. Happy Friday. I am Leslie Banis, Director of Programs here at the Community Foundation. Just wanted to spend a few minutes with you to talk about the Philanthropy Hub. I know that there are lots of questions and I'm hoping to provide you lots of answers today and give you some more resources for Philanthropy Hub. Many of you should have gotten an email about an hour ago about your Philanthropy Hub profile and the status of your profile. So any head nods of anybody that may have gotten an email? I see a few head nods. Okay, good. We'll talk about why you got that email and what that email means before we dive in. So I won't sell you guys on the hub because I know that you guys everyone on this call has already completed or at least started your profile. So we launched the Philanthropy Hub last year. We have 105 reporting requirements. You'll notice that that's a little bit higher than before. We have added some based off of feedback from you guys and feedback from others that have similar programs. We have added a few more reporting requirements. Your financial tabs are updated by the IRS. And right now we currently have 114 organizations. So we are off to a great start. So thank you all for hanging in there with us. And obviously we know the process is to help build capacity and really provide you transparency. And there's some great stories that we'll be compiling to share how some of you have already started using your Philanthropy Hub for those purposes. Again, we've been working with the Children's Trust on the Philanthropy Hub and helping some different funders in town. We were able to use the Philanthropy Hub to expedite CARES Act funding. We've been partnering with UF for graduate and faculty research, and you'll get to meet our graduate student that's helping us Philanthropy Hub in a few minutes. And again, we hope to partner with more funders to help grant making process easier in our EC, and we do have some of those talks coming up. So I want to talk about the verification process for your Philanthropy Hub profile. And so there are 5 buckets of where your profile can be at any certain point. Many of you are in pending re-verification. So the idea, and I'll go back and share my screens. You can see Philanthropy Hub and know exactly what I'm talking about when I mean verification process. But when you start your profile, you're automatically put into pending re-verification. So once you answer all the questions, mute here. Guys, if you're not on mute, if you could put yourself on mute, that would be very helpful. Perfect. Thank you. So once you're in pending re-verification, you go through and fill out all of your information and press submit. Then once you press submit, we say the Community Foundation takes us about 72 hours or to go through and whether or not you're going to be verified, which is the next step, or you might be put back in pending re-verification if you're missing any information. So verified means that you'll have the approved by the Community Foundation on your profile. If your profile reads expired, what that means is that once a year, your profile will be reviewed. So after you complete your profile, it will expire after 1 year. And so after 1 year, you'll have to go re-update information, which is where many of you are at right now. Now, I know some of you are going to say, well, it hasn't been a year. Since last year was our first year, and some of you filled your profile out in March, and some of you filled your profile out in November, but we put everyone's stop date as today, as January 15th. That way we can kind of start the new year off with everyone being updated at one time. And then from there, you will have 1 year from when you press submit. Lastly, if your organization does say ineligible for any reason, please reach out to the Community Foundation. It could be that there was a problem where we aren't able to move forward with your profile. Maybe there's a different name your organization goes under that we're unaware of. But if you do see that ineligible and you have not heard from us, please reach out. So from there, I'm going to go to my desktop and I want to share the Philanthropy Hub with you all. So I hope that this looks familiar. We'll get here. And that this page looks familiar to all of you with the Philanthropy Hub. So I wanted to show you what your profiles should look like. So the only profile currently that is verified by the Community Foundation, you can see that right here. Any profile that's verified by the Community Foundation. The only one right now is the Community Foundation's page. So everybody has been put back in pending re-verification. So if you are looking for what's new, what should my profile look like, what kind of answer should I be putting there, please visit the Community Foundation's Philanthropy Hub page. So this page is really going to be your benchmark for there are going to be other pages soon, but for now, it's the Community Foundation page. So, we have our summary, our overview page, the management page about what our organization staffing looks like, our financials, which are pulled over from the IRS site. I will say that 2019 is not available yet. It should be available by the end of January. We should be able to pull those in. Now, the Community Foundation will do that section for you. Some of you have asked why you don't have these financials, but you have been verified. And that's for any organization that completes a 990N or a 990EZ form, which is basically anybody who has under $50,000 in operating expenses or budgets. Those will, all you'll have to do is come down to the bottom and upload. And I see my 990 didn't save. I'll have to go back and fix that. But you should be able to upload your 990N or 990EZ form right here. And we do have 2 years worth of those that you can add. One thing I wanted to point out in the financial section is I wanted to visit the YMCA's page because I love what they did about how they used this. Underneath everything, you'll see comments, and several different pages have these comment sections. And we really encourage you to use these comment sections because we know sometimes numbers do not tell the whole story. And so I love how they used this section to talk about their transitioning, their rebuilding, some of the things they faced during COVID with their financials, and really use this to tell a story that maybe their financials, especially maybe last year's financials, don't always tell. So we really encourage you to use this section. We also, on your overview page, you have the option to upload an annual report. We encourage you to upload your annual report here if you have one. Because again, just as those descriptions, it tells a story that maybe some of these numbers or some of these facts on this page don't always tell. It doesn't always tell the impact. And this gives you an opportunity to share your story there. Whoops, so going back to, where was I at? Here, I wanted to go through and talk about the programs tab. We have lots of questions from the programs tab. And I know that programs mean something different to every organization. And so we want to do what makes sense for you. Some of you don't necessarily have individualized programs. Some of you, your work you do is your program. So feel free to explain that in this section. It's okay if you don't have the budget, but as long as you have something in this section about your programs, even if your program is your mission, if you don't have individualized programs, this section.
He didn't want to drop it to come back in.
Whoops. Sorry guys, get someone muted here. Thank you. So the next one is the development tab. And this tab, you'll notice, looks a little different than it did before. And so we just want to make sure that you go through and answer all the questions. There are some new questions in here about funding and your top funding sources. Please note that when we're asking for your funding sources, we're not asking for individuals' names. We're just asking, are you grant funded? Do you have individual donations? Do you have an event? We're asking, where are your funding sources coming from? Do you have fee for service? What does that look like? And then in more details, you'll notice some updates where we're asking you to update your state solicitation of contributions. We're asking you to update your, actually download your IRS letter of determination. We're asking when everything expires so that we can kind of track and make sure everybody is in good standing with the IRS and with the state. So from here, I want to talk about this menu over here. When you go down to this menu, it says for nonprofits. When you click on this, it tells you, many of you have already gotten started, but there's a toolkit here that has many different, answers a lot of your questions about what things may look like. And we are updating this toolkit to have some samples on it as well to help those that may be interested in some of the different policies and procedures. But I really want to pay attention to this nonprofit frequently asked questions page. There's a lot of simple questions. What is the Philanthropy Hub? But if you really dig deeper, we've been adding questions to this on a regular basis for when we start hearing questions from you all. So for example, many of you have been, what does state contributions mean? We have a whole 3 questions here all about state charitable solicitation registration, resources, where to go to see if you're in good standing. And so all of that is in this frequently asked questions page. And we continue to add questions here when we hear your feedback. So again, please utilize this. There's also the training page. So on the training page, any trainings we have, our quarterly check-ins are here. You'll see our next quarterly check-ins May 14th. You can RSVP there. Well, RSVP will be coming soon, but anything we do, any getting ready for the Philanthropy Hub, if you have a new staff person coming on or a new volunteer that's helping you, they can go back and see the recordings for how to set up your page or what is the Philanthropy Hub. And so you can see all of our trainings that we're offering here on the training page. So I want to get back in, before we get to questions, I want to get back into my presentation quickly and talk about some helpful tips. So these are just some tips to keep in mind, and I'll upload this presentation as well as the recording of this to the training page. But some tips: when you're entering numbers, you want to enter the number flat. You don't want to add the money sign. You don't want to add a comma. You just want to, anytime it asks for any specific numbers, especially in the finance section, it won't let you save. So you may be going crazy saying, why can't I save these numbers? It's because you don't want to use anything but the numerical digits in there. Like I said before, I showed you the YMCA's notes section. Please use those notes sections. There's several places where they are. Again, I talked about uploading your annual report. You want to make sure that you have something that maybe can tell your story in your own words and not the way maybe the Philanthropy Hub does. And so I think that's really important. Make sure that you change your funding needs quarterly. So on the overview page, there is a section for you to put what are your current needs right now. And many of you have been very good about changing that. I've seen some of you change it even every month that says this month our biggest need is volunteers, or this month our biggest need is blankets, or our biggest need is operational. And so, feel free to change those quarterly needs. Funders are looking at that, and that's a really good snapshot of here's all this information on my page, but here's what I need right now. Make sure you update your 990 financials. And again, we talked about the different type of 990 financials. If you have questions about that, you can definitely reach out. And I always say, one of the things that this is not meant to be a big burden on you. It's meant to help your organization. So feel free to use the chat bubble that is on the page or reach out to the Community Foundation. Don't find yourself getting frustrated. It's not meant to be that. We are here to help. Reach out, we'll schedule a quick call with you as well. My number one tip, and I think that you'll see this, is visit the frequently asked questions page, because as we get this, a lot of you start asking the same questions, we'll put it on the frequently asked questions page. And so please continue to visit that page, and hopefully we'll get most of your questions and common questions on that page. So these are questions I've been getting a lot lately. And so I call this section, it's okay if. And so I say, it's okay if you don't have an annual report. This is probably one of the top questions I'm getting. You can upload a brochure about your organization. It doesn't necessarily have to be an annual report. Some organizations call it an impact report, maybe something you produce yearly or maybe every 2 years to show the impact your organization is having. So you don't have to update something, and it doesn't necessarily have to be an annual report. It's just a way to update a brochure, an impact report, something you may have. It's okay if you don't have audited financials. So when we use the term audited financials, we're referring to an outside auditing firm auditing your financials. If we come back to approve your profile and they are just financials that you internally you've reviewed, or just your balance sheet or your profit and loss sheet, we are going to take that off. That section is only for those that have outside audited financials. And we know many organizations are not going to have those, and that's okay. It's also okay if you have to answer no. So obviously, we don't want you to lie. We want you to tell the truth. If you don't have a document, you're not going to get docked if you say no. We just want to know if you have it. So for example, in the management section or in the governance section, we're asking if you have a whistleblowing policy or a social media policy, and you don't. It's okay if you answer no. It's not going to ding you. We just want to know who has what policies. And then it's okay if we talked about this, your programs tab is not detailed, because I know there's a lot of questions on that programs tab, and that's something that we're going to work on in the future. So here's the next section. It's not okay. It's not okay if you don't answer all the questions. So please answer all the questions. It's also not okay if you do not complete the hidden to the public questions. There are questions that we are asking to gather information that maybe aren't necessary for you to allow transparency. And so those questions are hidden for us to gather information. Many of them rely around staffing, staffing benefits, salary ranges, board ethnicity, board gender, staff roles. And so we are compiling information to produce reports, but we would never indicate specific organizations in that. That is just more of a general overview for us to provide a report for an overview of the nonprofit sector. It's also not okay if you do not upload your 990. your IRS Form 990 report must be uploaded in order for you to be approved in the hub. And it's not okay if you do not have your solicitation of contributions. Like I said, if we have questions on that, please reach out to us. Please visit the frequently asked questions page to find out more about that, to make sure that your organization is in good standing. And it's not okay if you do not have a cover photo on your homepage. It makes, even though it sounds very simple, we've had many people press submit and not have a cover photo. Your cover photo just makes your page look put together. It makes it more aesthetically pleasing, makes it look like you took some effort to do your page. So please make sure that you do have that cover photo. So since we talked about a lot today, and I'm going to stop sharing so we can go into some questions, but I'm going to put in the chat for you to sign up for some office hours. So if you feel like your page is set, you're ready to go in and press submit, you don't have to worry about signing up for hours. But for those of you who are looking for time with the Community Foundation to set aside to meet with us, to talk about your hub page, there's the sign up in the chat. Feel free to come sign up. It's for next week. If you can't meet next week, send us an email. But again, it's not required for you to schedule a meeting. It is just for those that want that extra help. I want to take a second to introduce Rochelle Owens. So Rochelle, can you come on mute and give us a little hi so we can see you?
Hello, everyone. I am Leslie's assistant, and I'm currently a dual master's candidate at UF.
Thank you for joining. So Rochelle's going to be helping us with Philanthropy Hub this semester. So many of you will hear from her, and she'll be in some of our meetings, potentially having a meeting with you by herself to really help us get the hub moving in the right direction, and then be able to help us produce some reports out to the community about some of our nonprofit data. So I know that was a lot of information in a short time, but I wanted to give a few minutes for questions. If anyone has any questions, I see I have a couple in the chat, but if anybody does have a question, if they want to come off mute and ask, feel free to ask a question, and we can, here's one. I'll start with this question because this is a great one. Many of you are saying you're having trouble opening your the Philanthropy Hub. One thing is the Philanthropy Hub is not supported by Safari, so you are going to have to be in Chrome or in Firefox or some other browser if you do want to do the Philanthropy Hub, not supported by Safari. So that's been a question I wanted to point out as well. And again, I will save this presentation on the training page. I'll save the recording that you're listening to now, as well as all of the slides that I just shared. Any questions? David, see if you can see the chat. Is there any questions I'm missing? Or feel free to come off of, if you did not receive an email this morning, they are still coming. You can, you'll probably will receive the email. The email basically saying that you've been put back in pending re-verification. If your profile was already approved and verified. And so we're just making sure that you take the time now, especially those that were already verified. It should take you 30 minutes to go in and update your financials, update any new board members, update any new policies you may have secured in the last year or the last few months, and then that way we can press submit and we can get you re-verified, maybe even today or next week. And you will have to be verified to participate in the Amazing Give. And the Amazing Give registration does open up on February 1st. And so only those that are verified will get the link to register. And then once you do register or do have your hub profile verified, you will be able to get the link to register for the Amazing Give. And so that will begin on February 1st. So any questions?
Leslie, currently there are no questions in the chat. I think you answered the question about not receiving emails so far.
Thank you. Feel free to come off mute if you do have a question. My presentation could not have been that good. I think that while we're waiting to see if anyone has any questions before we wrap up, feel free to come off mute and interrupt me. But you know, some of the most commonly asked questions have been about what happens if my organization has no staff. And so thank you, Scott. So if your organization does not have a staff under them, if you are all volunteer based, and when we mean staff, we mean paid staff. So in the management tab, you'll answer the very first question, which the very first question asks, do you have any paid staff? And if the answer is no, you are done with that section. You can then move on to the governance section. So if you are a volunteer-run organization, all volunteer-run, you will only answer one question on that management tab. So from there, that will make it much easier for you because you will almost have a whole tab that only has one question. So I've gotten a couple questions here. It says take me directly to GiveGab. I'm using Chrome. So if you end up on the GiveGab page and you are logged in, please use that chat bubble to figure out maybe why it's not taking you directly to your profile page. Anything technical like that, I would definitely recommend using the chat bubble for maybe why you're not seeing your profile in the back office in your dashboard. And again, I've seen a few of you have already started signing up for the 101s. And so I'll put the 101 signups also on the training page. So if you're unsure, or if I see a few of you maybe aren't in your office, or if you, you can go back on the training page and maybe register for those 101s next week. Well, if there aren't any questions, we will wrap up with our check-in. Our next check-in, oh, Coral, you said you have a question? Feel free to come off mute.
Yeah, thank you, Leslie. I was wondering about when you renew your profile every year, that the information is saved within the hub. Like you don't have to go in and re-enter any like important information, like some of it kind of rolls over. Is that true?
That is true. That would be torture if you had to do it all over again. So yes, all your information is saved and you just have to go update any of that information. And it also allows us every year to maybe tweak a little bit of the questions we're asking. You'll notice this year we have a few more questions that we've added or that we've changed around. And so there'll be different reporting points. And so that you may notice that there are some questions that have been added, and you can get those, answer those as well. And make sure you go through all your profile and make sure everything is updated. When we're going back to approve it and you still have the same board chair that you've had for 3 years, we may ask, is your board chair a 3-year term? We may want to make sure that you're getting this information turned over and that you're looking at all sections of your page, especially your financial section and your governance section.
Thank you, Leslie. Appreciate it.
Of course. And yes, we will post again. I'll post the slides, the helpful tips as well. We'll also put those helpful tips in the frequently asked questions page and on the training page.
Leslie, I'd just like to thank you all for all of the assistance that you all have provided to the community center. We've been working along with David, and he has done an excellent job as far as getting us where we need to be at the community center. And thank you, Barzella, for your input. And we look forward to better things and improving our services. And we're even adding another board member from the board training in the list of people that you all had. So I certainly do appreciate you all. And I look forward to working with Rochelle.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. And thank you for plugging our board academy. And so please visit our training page to see when our next board academy is. And we are also rolling out with a new program called Board Connect to help you with organizations seeking new board members in our community. And so the information session for Board Connect is on January 26th. Visit the Community Foundation's website and under events, you'll see where that information session is. We're talking about the Board Connect program, which is a new program that the Community Foundation is launching to help connect community members with local boards that may be of interest to them. So please, and they'll be trained board members. So please feel free to sign up for that. We'd love to have you and talk more about our training program, Board Connect new program. So thank you for that plug. That was perfect.
I have a question. Will other funders be possibly utilizing you all in the process for us making it easier to apply for grant funding?
Yes, and that's one of the main goals of the Philanthropy Hub. We've already worked with the county with the CARES Act funding this year. We are working with the Children's Trust. We have other conversations going on with other funders and really to help the Philanthropy Hub expand and really help our nonprofit, take the burden off our nonprofits with grant making in our local community. So yes, we are working on that, and we will be continue to keep you all updated on how those conversations go.
Thank you.
Well, we'll give you back 4 minutes of your day. So thank you all for joining us. We'll do this again in May with any updates anyone may have, and hope to see you before May at one of our trainings. So thank you all for spending a little bit with us on Friday morning, and have a good weekend. Have a good long weekend. We will see you all soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.